Hi, my name is Eric Olson, Director of Helps. I got an email not long ago from one of our paralegals who talked to a gentleman, I think he lived in Florida, who had a bunch of questions. And she asked me, Eric, can you call this man back? He's worried. He's got a lot of questions. And so I did call him back. I've talked to a lot of people today. You can probably tell my horse is a little voice. My voice is a little hoarse. I called him back, and uh, he had the first question I think he had was, well, is my bank account protected? I'm worried about my bank account. And I said, his income was Social Security, him and his wife. And I said, do you have an email? And he said, yeah. And I said, give me your email address. And I sent him an email explaining why bank accounts are protected and how they're protected. And then I said, what else do you need to know? What else? What are your other questions? So, well, I'm worried about what happens if I get sued? What's going to happen? We'll have to go to court. I said, well, I'm going to send you another email. It's called What Happens When a Helps Client is Sued. Explain why you don't need to go to court, why they can't take your money, why your other assets are safe. And actually has a copy of a letter that will send to the attorney that sued you. Click the button and send him that. And then he wanted to know, well, I have this home and I've got a little bit of equity. How can I protect it for my children? I said, well, I'll send you another email. It's called Protecting a Home for Children. Click the email and sent that to him. And then he wanted to know, well, I owe a little bit of taxes. Do I have to pay the IRS? I'm worried they're going to take money out of my account if I don't pay them. I said, well, I'm going to send you another email. So why you're not going to need to pay the IRS and how you can prevent them from taking money from you and get on what's called currently not collectible status. Boom, I pushed it and sent him an email. Then he had 3 or 4 more other questions, and I sent him 3 or 4 more other emails. The time I was done, I don't know how many emails we had, 7 or 8 at least. And then he says, wow, he says, you have a lot of arrows in your quiver. And I got it. I chuckled. Quiver is what holds arrows. And yeah, we do have a lot of arrows in our quiver. Then he says, you have a solution for everything. And I said, well, I don't know if we have a solution for everything, but I did tell him, I'm amazed at how we're able to answer seniors' questions who have financial issues and how often there's a pretty easy solution for their problem and an answer so they don't have to worry. In fact, it's one of the most common things we tell our clients that helps is they don't need to worry. In fact, that's one reason why we always tell our clients, if you ever are worried or scared or have a question, pick up the phone and call us, no matter how often. Okay. Once in a while, we'll talk to a client and we'll send them an email and say, we need you to look at this, and then call us back. And they may not be enrolled, but we're answering some questions for them. They're processing this. And I say, call us back. And in the meantime, don't worry. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Because when we talk to people, know right away that they're going to be okay. But I need to send them some information or links to some YouTube videos that explain why so they can realize that. But in the meantime, I don't want them stressing or worrying them. I want them to have a good weekend or a good sleep that night. In fact, sometimes I'll say, you should sleep good tonight. You're going to be okay. When we explain this to you in the end, you're going to realize Eric's right. I am going to be okay. So that's really important. See, HELP's main purpose is to protect seniors from debt collector harassment. Under federal law, if you have an attorney, collectors can no longer call you or send you demand letters anymore. So clients enroll in HELP's, we send what's called a cease and desist letter. Collectors know they have to leave them alone. They have to deal with us. And then our second purpose, which is just as important, is to educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. So we talked to a lot of seniors with varying amounts of income. Most of them are lower, some have a little bit more. And we always have answers or ways to help them so that they can live within their income, their means. And there's things they can do so they can get there, so that things will be easier for them. And so that's why we want to educate seniors so they can be independent financially. And that's one reason we have over 300 different emails on different topics. All kinds of things. I could go through the list, but you just might be kind of bored. But I do have a kind of a general list here. We got articles on bank accounts, how they're protected, why they're protected, banks versus credit unions, all kinds of articles on bankruptcy, why often it doesn't make sense or when it might make sense. All kinds of articles on lawsuits, debtors exams, why that won't happen, or why you don't have to worry about losing your property if someone gets a judgment, why your home is protected. All kinds of articles on homes and housing, all kinds of articles on lawsuits, just literally hundreds of articles on different topics. IRS taxes, state income taxes, student loans, if you're a veteran, benefits for veterans, why you don't have to worry about this thing or the other thing, why if you don't pay your debt you're not going to have to pay taxes because of it, do I have to file a tax return, and so that's important to know, is that, see, Helps has been around for 12 years now, and over that time, we've dealt with about every single problem a senior would ever have. And so we have this preloaded reservoir or library of emails on all these different topics that will help seniors with the issues they face. And so once in a while there are some complicated issues, but we'll know what to do. And that's what we're here for. So our most important message to seniors is that their income is protected. Social Security, almost all pensions, VA benefits are protected, IRA, retirement income. They don't have to pay debt they can't afford to pay, and they can be protected from collectors. And we're here to help them. We don't turn anyone away that needs our help. So no matter what your problem is or what you're worried about, don't assume that there isn't a solution or an answer. Sometimes I get on our paralegal sometime, a prospective client will call in with a question, and they'll answer the question, and then the person will hang up, and I'll say, no, we gotta ask them some other basic questions. They very well need our help. They don't realize we can help them. So it's important that people that call us, that we interview them and talk about their situation, because we can help them, and that's what we want to do. We always tell our clients, if they're ever worried or scared, pick up the phone and call us, no matter how often, because we can answer their questions so they don't have to be worried and scared. I could tell you lots of stories about that. So thanks for listening to this video. If you don't need helps, please remember what we do. We help people in all 50 states. No one gets turned away. And if you don't need us, please share what we do with other seniors. You wouldn't believe how many times a senior tells us, I'm so glad I found you. Why didn't someone tell me about this earlier? It would have helped me so much. So please share what Helps does with others. And you have a great day.